Welcome back everyone. In the last videos we were discussing about journalizing the financial transactions. Journalizing the financial transactions. So at that time we just skipped one of the main important thing due to some time shortage. So this is it's a small topic, but it is very important thing. That is regarding bank transactions. Bank transactions. Bank transaction means transactions of business with the bank. That means for every business organization, it may have a bank account. Business may have a bank account. Bank account is a personal account. Bank account is a personal account. For example, SBI, if you have a bank account with SBI. So SBI is a name of an institution. Isn't it? Name of a business unit. So if you open an account in the name of that business unit, it is a personal account. Personal accounts are the accounts of person, firms or companies. So SBI is we can consider as a company or a firm. So if you have a bank account with the SBI, that bank account will be called as SBI bank account. SBI account. Okay. So that is a personal account. So if we have any transaction with the bank, suppose we are depositing money to bank. We are withdrawing money from the bank. Bank gives interest to us. Or bank sometimes charge money from the bank account. So for all these things, how to write the journal entries. That is what we are going to see today. Okay. We can explain by considering each and every transaction one by one. Okay. First let us see deposit of money into bank. Deposit of, or we can say that deposited rupees 10,000 into bank. Deposited rupees 10,000 into bank. How we can write the journal entry? See, deposited rupees 10,000 into bank. What happened to us? Our money has given to bank. Money goes out. As per the real account rule, we know that cash, money is cash. Cash if goes out, asset goes out. So credit what goes out. And bank is the person and bank receives and debit the receiver. Isn't it? So what we can write here? Bank debtor. Bank debtor, how much? 10,000 to cash. 10,000. Is it clear to all? If we deposit money into bank, bank receives. Suppose we can write here into State Bank of India, SBI bank account. So we will write SBI debtor. Bank receives. So bank is the receiver, debit the receiver. It's a personal account. So we have debited and cash we credited. Why? Cash goes out. Asset goes out. Real account rule, credit what goes out. The next, withdrew money or withdrew rupees 3,000 from bank for office use. We withdrew money from bank for our business use. Withdrew money means we received the cash. This is not withdrawn by owner, we withdrew from the bank. Business withdrew. So when we withdrew the money, cash receives. We received the cash. Cash asset account or what real account rule, debit what comes in. So we can write here cash debtor, how much? 3,000. Cash debtor 3,000. And who given that? Bank given that. Bank is a person, credit the giver. So we can write here to bank. How much? 3,000. Okay. Or we can say that money which is there in the bank decreases. Okay. So we will credit bank. So cash comes in. So debit what comes in, and bank is the giver, credit the giver. So we credited bank. Then the next transaction we can say interest of rupees 1,000 credited by bank. So if we have a bank account, we will get interest. If we have a bank account, we will get interest. So this interest is an income to us, isn't it? It is an income to us, and that income comes in the bank account. If bank gives the interest, what the bank will do? Bank credit that interest in the bank account. That means 1,000 rupees interest bank gives to our account. So we can write the journal entry. What can be the journal entry? Bank interest. Bank interest is an income. We receive that income. So it can be credited now. Credit all incomes and gains. Nominal account rule. Okay. So we will credit what? To interest. How much? 1,000. What can be debited? Who receives that interest? The money will be coming into our bank account. So bank account receives, debit the receiver, bank is the receiver. So we can write bank account debtor. That means this money will be credited to bank. It will be deposited into bank or deposited into our account. If we have an account with the bank, and if bank gives the interest, that will come into our bank account. So bank account increases or bank account receives the money. Okay. Then another one, bank charged rupees 500. So sometimes it happens. Sometimes when we issue the check or when we deposit, suppose when we deposit check received from a customer to the bank, bank will send in this check for collection. So at that time bank may charge some amount for the service rendered by the bank. That means when the bank gives us some services, for that bank will collect some money. That is called bank charges. Okay, that is called bank charges. For example, if you pay or if you tell your banker to do some agency work for you, suppose depositing rent or something, if we tell the bank will collect some money. Or if you send any money order or demand a draft to somebody, for doing that work, bank collects some money. That is called the bank charges. This bank charges is an expense to us. Okay, bank charges is an expense, and that will be taken from our bank account. So since it is an expense, we can debit it. We will write here bank charges. Bank charges debtor 500. And who gives? It will be given from our bank account, or it will be taken from our bank account. Okay, so bank account is the giver. So we will write to bank. How much? 500. Is it clear? So this is regarding bank charges. Then Next, withdrew rupees 5,000 from bank for personal use. What happens? Who withdrawn? Owner withdrew. Isn't it? Owner withdrew money from our bank. So if owner withdraws something from the business, this bank account also, whose account it is? Business account. So if anything, if owner withdraw, that will be called as, what it will be called as? It will be called as drawings. So this also drawings. And who given that money? Bank gives, credit the giver. Okay. So what can be written? Drawings debtor. Drawings, we know that it will always be debited. Drawings debtor to bank. That has taken from bank. How much? 5,000 rupees. Is it clear? So drawings, if any money is withdrawn by the owner from the bank, that money is to be deducted from the bank. So we will write to bank and it will be considered as drawings. So drawings will be debited. Drawings always debits. Okay. Then next we can see the next one. Sixth point we can write. A check received from Gopi. Check received from Gopi rupees 5,000. Check received from Gopi rupees 5,000. Here we are going to discuss a most important rule, that if you receive a check, it is the check of somebody. Now you received a check from whom? Gopi. So you have received Gopi's check. It is not your check. Okay. So if you receive a check, it can be considered as cash received. Check received should be considered as cash received and should be shown in the cash account. Should be shown in the cash account. Understood? Is it clear? If you receive a check, it should be considered as cash received and should be shown in the cash account. Clear? Then, if you receive a check and immediately deposit that into bank, that will be considered as bank receipt. That we will discuss now. Before that, let us clear this once again. If you receive a check, that will be considered as cash received. If you received a check, that will be considered as cash received. So how we can write the journal entry? We received a cash from Gopi. Check we will consider as cash, no. So what can be written? We received a cash from Gopi. So cash if receives, cash can be debited. Cash debtor. How much? 5,000. Then to Gopi. Gopi is the giver. So Gopi will write as credit. Okay. Suppose this check is received on April 4. April 4. Then next transaction we are writing. If we receive the check, we have to consider that cash received. So next transaction we are writing on April 7. April 7. Gopi's check deposited into bank. Gopi's check deposited into bank. Gopi's check for how much rupees? 5,000. That was there with us, that we deposited into bank. So when we receive check from Gopi, we will write it as cash received. We will treat it as cash received. And this cash is deposited into bank. Can we write anywhere check here now? No. The check received is considered as cash. Now that cash, we suppose that cash is there with us and this cash is deposited into bank. If cash deposited into bank, what will be the journal entry? Bank account debtor to cash. Bank is the receiver. So bank debtor, bank account debtor 5,000 to cash. Cash goes out 5,000. That means this cash we received here has gone out. Clear? Okay. That is the condition here. If the check is deposited on a future date to the bank, we will write bank debtor to cash. So that's what we have told. If you receive a check from a customer, it should be considered as cash received. Then another rule we are going to see, we are going to tell about the check. If you receive a check and deposit that check on the same day to the bank, if you receive a check and deposit that on the same day to the bank, it can be considered as check received into the bank account. Okay. So in that case, what we will do? We will instead of writing cash, we will write here bank. Let us see an example. Received a check from Vipin and deposited, received a check from Vipin for rupees 50,000 and deposited same day to bank. So if we deposit that check in same day, in the transaction if it is given that same day the check is deposited, then we need not enter that into cash account. But we have to write, we have to consider that this check is received by bank. Check is received by bank. Bank is the receiver. Debit the receiver. So we will write bank debtor, how much? 50,000. From whom it is received? To Vipin. How much? 50,000. Okay. Bank debtor 50,000 to Vipin 50,000 will be written. Okay. So the rule once again, if we receive a check, we have to consider that cash received. If we receive a check and immediately deposit that check into bank, immediately in the sense on the same day. If we deposit that check into bank, it should be recorded as bank debt. Okay. See here, in the first case, we return cash debtor to Gopi. And second time, when we deposited, we return bank account debtor to cash. So this cash and this cash is cancelled here by taking the opposite. So what happened? What is remaining? Bank account debtor to Gopi is remaining. So like that only here it comes. Okay. So that and all we will study later. So here you have to assume like this. If we receive a check and deposited that in the same bank, same day to the bank, we have to write it as bank debtor to that person. Okay. Now let us discuss another thing, another example. Okay. Transaction. Ravi, a customer, deposited rupees 10,000 directly into bank. That means Devi, who is a customer to us, who is our customer, he had to pay us 5,000 rupees that he, instead of paying directly to us, he directly deposited that money into our bank account. So what can be the journal entry? He deposited directly to bank. So who is the receiver? Bank is the receiver. Debit the receiver. We will write bank account debtor. Bank is one person and another person is Ravi. He is the giver. So credit the giver. Bank account debtor to Ravi. How much? 10,000. Okay. Then another example. Sold goods and received check for rupees 25,000. What can be the journal entry? Sold goods and received check. Sold goods means we will write sales and received check. So if we sell goods for cash, what will we write? Cash account debtor to sales. That we know. Because cash comes in and sales is an income credited. So here what we will do? We sold the goods and received a check. So we know that sales can be credited to sales. That is accepted. How much? 25,000 rupees. That is okay. What about the debit? Check received. Check received. So what to do? If check is received, how it should be considered? Check received means cash received. So what can be written? Cash debtor. Cash debtor 25,000. Okay. And sometimes, suppose if it is saying like this, sold goods and received check for 25,000 rupees and deposited that on the same day to the bank. So what to write here? Instead of cash, we have to write bank. Okay. Then let us see next one. Next transaction. Purchased goods for rupees 20,000 and issued check. If we receive check, it will be considered as cash receives because that check belongs to somebody else. So if we issue check, we cannot consider it as cash paid. We have to consider it as money has gone from bank. Bank is the giver. So bank should be credited. So what to write? Purchase debtor 20,000 to bank 20,000. Okay. Is it clear? Then next you can say paid salary by check rupees 30,000. What can be the journal entry? The aspects are salary and bank. So salary is expense. Salary debtor. How much? 30,000 to bank. What it is? 30,000. Is it clear? So we have discussed around a dozen of journal entries related to bank transaction. So I hope all of you have understood that, and you have to see that once again and write the notes and find out such a problem from your reference book and solve that. Okay? Thank you.